Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, GHA family and friends. We are back with another homework helper video, and today this is for 5th grade, okay? So we are in module 4, and this is lesson 10, so I'm gonna go ahead and read the directions and get us started. So, number 1, homework says, write expressions to match the diagrams, then evaluate. So I'll do one of those for you. We have one here that says 4/7 plus 8/3, and there's a tape diagram there. So I'm gonna draw the tape diagram, which was broken down into 4s. 1, 2, 3 lines for 4. They did not give us a total, okay? And they said that these two blocks right here was equal to 4/7 plus 8/3, okay? So what they want you to do is write an expression that describes this, okay? So we know that these two boxes equal 4/7 plus 8/3, okay? So that must mean that these boxes are also 4/7 plus 8/3, okay? So what they're asking you to do is say that 4/7 plus 8/3, and then you're gonna multiply by 2, because you're gonna have 2 of them, okay? All right, and that's how we're gonna solve it to find the answer. So I'm gonna shrink this, put it over here. Keep that in mind. You already have this, and now we're about to get started. So we're gonna take our, we're gonna take our 4/7 and add it to 8/3. Okay, so this is an improper fraction. You can turn it into a mixed number, but we're just gonna add it as is. So when we're adding fractions, we know these two do not have the same denominator, so we can't add them until we get them the same. So we're gonna make those 21, okay? All right, so here's how we do that. 7 times 3 is 21, and 3 times 7 is 21. Whatever we did to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So this was multiplied by 3, and this was multiplied by 7. Now we can go ahead and add, okay? So we have 68 over 21, okay? So we've added these together, okay? So we have an improper fraction here. We can turn it into a mixed number, or we can go ahead and multiply it as is, all right? What I would like to do is turn it into a mixed number. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out how many times does 21 go into 68. So 21 goes into 68 3 times with 5 left over, okay? And 21 down here at the bottom, okay? And so we've just found our answer, 2 4/7 plus 8/3, and now we need to multiply that by 2 in order to solve, okay? So we're gonna multiply by 2, and we come up with 6 and 10, 21st, okay? Now, this is not the expression. Here's the expression. We just solved it, now we're gonna do the expression, okay? So we're gonna do 4 over 7, or 4/7 plus 8/3, and we're gonna multiply it by 2, so you can put it there. So there's many ways you can say it in words, but it's all saying the same thing. 2 times the sum of 4/7 and 8/3, okay? Or you can say the sum of 4/7 and 8/3 doubled, because when you double something, you're multiplying by 2, okay? All right. So number 2 says that we are going to circle the expressions that give the same product as 6 times 3/8, okay? So I'm going to solve that, and then you're gonna look at the other expressions to tell me which ones are equivalent. Of course, when we're multiplying and when we're multiplying and dividing, it is not commutative, okay? So you cannot flip them anyway and get the same result, so keep that in mind, all right? So I'm gonna solve 6 times 3/8. 6 times 3/8, okay? So the first step is to do 6 times 3. And then that line means we're gonna divide that top part by 8, okay? So we have 18 over 8, which is an improper fraction. And we're gonna turn that into a mixed number by asking ourselves, how many times does 8 go into 18? So 8 goes into 18 2 times with 2 left over and an 8 at the bottom. And if you would like to reduce that, then you would say 2 and 1/4, okay? So here's your answer. Now, there are gonna be some of these problems listed up under this one that I just solved that you are going to be able to look at and immediately know that it is equivalent because it's doing the same thing as this. If it's not doing the same thing as this, then you're probably gonna have to solve it to find out if you have the same answer. And then there's gonna be some that you can look at immediately and say, that's not doing what I just did, so it's not gonna be the same answer, okay? All right, so number 3, it says write an expression to match and then evaluate. So I'm only gonna go over one of these because we just did number 1, which is basically this expanded. So it says, write an expression to match and then evaluate. So the one in your book for number 3A says 1/8 of the sum of 23 and 17, okay? So they want you to write the expression first. So 1/8 of the sum of 23 and 17. So we want the sum of these two numbers, 23 and 17. And then it says 1/8 of that sum, okay? So that's gonna look like this, okay? All right, so now we're gonna solve it. 23 plus 17, I know it, but we're gonna write it down like this to get you in the habit of working out things that you don't quite know right off the top of your head. So 3 plus 7 is 10. We're gonna carry the 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So we have 40, all right? So what they're saying is they want 1/8 of 40, okay? So we have that here. So now that we have our problem basically all set up, we're gonna take our 1, multiply it by our 40, and divide by 8, okay? All right? So we have 40, 1 times 40 is 40, divided by 8. We have an improper fraction here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask ourselves, how many times does 8 go into 40? Well, 8 goes into 40 5 times with nothing left over, so we don't have a mixed number, we just have a whole number, okay? So that is how you're going to create an expression and then evaluate that expression, okay? Number 4 has an A, B, C, and a C, okay? So it says use greater than, less than, or equal to make the number sentence true without calculating. Explain your thinking, okay? All right, so let's pick one of these out that looks pretty difficult. Okay, so letter A looks very easy. So let's do C. It says, I'm gonna write that down for you. So it says, we got 6 on the outside, open parentheses, 2 plus 32 over 16, and that's going to be a parentheses versus, that's where we're going to put our greater than, less than symbol, 6 times 2 parentheses plus 32. Okay. So we're gonna ask ourselves, how many times does 16 go into 32? Well, twice, okay? So we have 2 plus 2 times 6, it's gonna be 4, 6, so that's gonna give us 24, okay? So that right there is gonna give us 24. Now let's go over here and solve this one. So we know that we just solved it over there, so 16 going into 32 is gonna be 2. Well, I don't want to put that there because that looks like we're saying that the answer is 2, and I don't want that. All right, so we're just gonna put 2 right here under it. So then we can go back and we do 6 times 2 is 12. So now we have 12 here plus, so we can bring that out of the parentheses now and then add 2 to it, and we end up with 14. So we got 14 over here and we have 24 over here. So we had to solve that in order to figure out what sign we're gonna put. So we can say that 24 is greater than 14 because we're gonna read left to right, okay? So when we're doing greater than, less than, equal to, we're gonna talk about the alligators, okay? So the alligator mouth is always gonna eat the bigger number. So alligator mouth, the number must be going inside of the mouth to show that it's greater. It's eating the bigger meal. Alligators always want to eat the biggest meal, okay? All right, so in this circle, we are going to put this one. That means that the arrow is pointing to the smaller number, and the alligator mouth is eating the bigger meal, eating the bigger number, okay? So you see how we just did that there? All right. And so then we have number 5. That's a story problem, and it has a list of problems that you're gonna answer with it. So it says, Fontaine bought flour for her bakery each month and recorded the amount in the table to the right. For A through C, you're going to write an expression that records the calculation described. Then solve to find the missing data in the table, okay? All right. So you're going to look at that table, and each month it tells you how much the amount was in pounds that Fontaine bought, okay? So it says, A, she bought 3/4 of January's total in August, okay? All right, so we have a blank for August, and January is 3. So she bought 3 pounds of flour in January, and in August, she only bought 3/4 of that. So we've just essentially created our problem, 3/4 of 3, okay? So that looks like this, 3/4 of 3 is actually 3/4 times 3, okay? So how we set this up is as we just did on the last one, 3 times 3. We multiply our whole number by our numerator, and then we're gonna divide by our denominator. 3 times 3 is 9 divided by 4, okay? So here we go. We have an improper fraction, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 9? Well, 4 goes into 9 twice, with 1 left over, and the denominator stays the same, 1/4. So 2 and 1/4. So we just found out that A says she bought 3/4 of January's total in August. So that means that she bought a portion of January's total, not that total or more. She bought a portion of it, which is smaller than 3. So this is what 3/4 of that would be 2 and 1/4. So you're gonna scroll down on your table, and for August, you're gonna put 2 and 1/4. You're gonna put the mixed number 2 and 1/4, okay? And then you're gonna go ahead and answer the rest of those questions, and it asks you to also make a line plot, okay? So that should be very easy, all right? Have a good evening.